All right, welcome to our latest Buff Zone video. I'm Brian Howell, and pleased to be joined by the athletic director of the Colorado Buffaloes, Rick George. Rick, thanks for joining me.
It's great to be here. I'm glad you came to my office and we could do this in person.
Yeah, I haven't seen you much since the women's basketball season. I saw you a lot during the NCAA tournament run, which was awesome. You know, down in at Duke and then out in Seattle. So that was a lot of fun. But I know you've been very busy since then, not only professionally but personally with weddings and things like that. So it's been a busy spring for you.
Yeah, it has been a busy spring, and unfortunately, I missed the spring game in person, but certainly watched it from afar. And my daughter got married that day. But it's been a busy spring. We've got a lot going on, and all of our sports teams, with women's basketball finishing the way they did and had a great run, and our women's tennis team's done a great job. Our men's golf team is currently competing in the nationals, which is what we expect, and track's going on as we speak in Sacramento, and the finals will be 2 weeks from now. So we still got a lot left to do, and we got a lot of new student athletes coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you do, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I want to ask you: did you lobby your daughter at all to move the wedding date once you saw the momentum building with Coach Prime?
No, the first one was happened to be when I took the job at the Texas Rangers, so I missed my first opening day against the Boston Red Sox. So it's just normal for me to miss something big on that day. But both that day was a really good day for Colorado and for my family.
Yeah, and obviously, it was an awesome day for those that were here. And I know you've watched it and all those things, but I mean the atmosphere was electric, and for a spring game, it was amazing. Just knowing what spring games have been like around here with 1,000 people just kind of walk up and whatever. But what kind of impact have you guys seen from that? The ticket sales, the concessions, parking, all that stuff. What kind of impact has that made?
Well, look, I mean, it was just the merchandise sales was the largest we've had of any home game this past year. So, that in itself was good. And obviously, when you have 47,000 people there, there's revenue that's generated from that and concessions. So, but there's a lot of expense to putting on a game, and when it's a $10 ticket versus what we would normally charge. So, it was positive revenue for us, and it was really good exposure for us to be on national TV, and you could feel the energy through the TV where we were in Florida. And it was a good day for Colorado athletics, and since that time we're just kind of getting ready for the fall and what's ahead.
It's funny, I've been asked a lot what it was like, and I know you're from the Midwest, Big Ten country. It felt like a Big Ten fall football day. We don't get a lot of those here in Colorado, but it was that kind of crisp sort of fall day. The only thing missing was the other team running out the other tunnel.
Well, yeah, and having snow on the field 2.5 hours before the game, and our grounds crew did a fabulous job, and they take great care of the turf. So that was probably a little bit of a surprise for many, but our faithful came out, and we had a soccer game that day as well, and a lot going on, but it was a really good day for Colorado.
Yeah, and I will say about your grounds crew, we're sitting there watching it in the press box, are they going to get this done? And they got it done. So, shout out to those guys.
Well, I talked to Ryan early that morning, and I said, are we going to be all right? And he's like, yeah, we'll be okay, and we're going to get out there and we'll get it done close to the game. And they did, and it worked out great.
Yeah. So the momentum with Coach Prime obviously has been building throughout. The big story this spring, since the spring game, has been the transfer portal. And not only all the players leaving, but all the guys coming in. There's probably been more focused on the guys leaving and not enough on the guys coming in. But what is your take on the roster rebuild that's going on right now?
Well, look, I mean, the NCAA put that rule in place, for coaches to be able to change their roster. Was it more than usual? Probably yes. But, if we recall 18 months ago, we had 27 of our players that left on their own volition, that there wasn't a lot of uproar other than they were pointing it at us, or why are you letting them leave? So, there's a rule in place. The transfer rule allows flexibility in that. And, it was put in place so that coaches in their first year would have an opportunity to change their roster around, and Coach has done it, and he's gone out and got some really good student athletes to fill those voids. And I'm looking forward to the summer and the fall and how they're going to build culturally and as a team heading into the our 100th season at Folsom Field.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting things is that people are just kind of looking at so much with this is that we've never seen a roster overhaul like this in the country. I mean, you've been able to see some things like USC did it to an extent, but never like this where it's 70 guys and he's almost going to have 3 recruiting classes in one. It's kind of an interesting experiment that he's doing here. I mean, I think it's needed, but it's an interesting experiment.
Well, look, I mean, again, you've got all these forces that are colliding at the same time. You've got a transfer portal, you've got NIL, and you've got this rule that allows, coaches to be able to do that in year one. We won't have this ability to do this next year, but in year one, you have that flexibility. And now you add the transfer portal that student athletes can go in and out of, pretty quickly. And you've got NIL on top of that, and all those forces kind of come together, and there's a lot more people in the transfer portal than we've ever had. So, even 2 years ago when the transfer rules weren't as liberal as they are now, where, student athletes can leave without penalty, this is new because all these things came together at one time, and coaches done a great job of navigating that process.
Have you seen a common thread with a Coach Prime player?
A common thread.
Yeah, like as far as like the characteristic of the type of guys he's bringing in.
Smart, smart, fast, tough, disciplined with character. Yeah, that's what he's looking for.
Yeah,
I think I said that right.
Yeah, I think you did. And one common thing I've noticed too is that there's a lot of guys that are coming in that. There was that show Last Chance U, and I've kind of said this has been sort of like second chance U for a lot of these guys that maybe didn't play a ton at Alabama or Washington, but they get an opportunity here, and the guys that I've talked to, they're hungry and they're looking forward to this second opportunity. I think it's going to be awesome to see these guys come together and get those second chances.
Well, look, I mean, I think we're all hungry for winning here at Colorado, right? We've not been relevant really in the last 10 years, and so I think there's an energy and an excitement that Coach Prime has brought, and I think we're all hungry. I think his staff's hungry. I think our staff is hungry for that. Our fans certainly are, and I know the incoming guys that he's going to bring on board are going to elevate our program. So I'm excited about what's ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned the 100th season of Folsom Field, and we can catch up more closer to the football season about that. But what's kind of planned for this 100th season at Folsom Field?
Well, we'll have a lot in store, but there will be different things that we'll be doing throughout the course of the year to kind of talk about our history and where we've been and how we got to where we are. And I think it's fitting that Coach Prime's first season is the 100th year, and I'm looking forward to the success that he's going to bring, and us kind of talking and showing people the history about the success that we have had in Colorado athletics, particularly football.
So I always have to ask you this because I get fans asking this a lot, but as far as like capital investments, things like that, things changes at the facilities upgrades, things like that. So with this stadium, it is an old place. That west side especially, we've talked about it for a long time. Where does that look right now as far as like the rebuilding of that side?
Well, look, I mean, it's not just the rebuilding of that side, even though that's something that's important for us and something that I'd like to do before my last days here at Colorado. And, the first priority is we've got to get our scoreboard fixed, and we've got to do that sooner rather than later. It's old. We want to get a much larger board with a ribbon board around it for our fans that'll help the in-game experience. And then certainly we need to fix the west side. We've got a plan for that. When we do that, we haven't determined that yet. And then we've got to, look over to the event center and see what needs to be done there to upgrade that. Again, all these things that I'd like to get done, in my time that I'll be here at Colorado. And then, this summer we're fixing a lot of things, with putting a new lacrosse field down, our track, to get ready for the 24 Pac-12 championships here in track, outdoor track. And, our soccer lights are coming on. We're going to be able to watch soccer under the lights, and, new buildings over there, concessions for the ski team and all that. So, we're doing a lot, and, we're, again, we expect all of our sports to have really good years next year. Women's basketball, we're returning everybody. Men's basketball, we got Cody coming in, and Eddie Lampkin, the big guy from that transfer from TCU. So we have high expectations for the 23-24 season.
Yeah. So the other, I can't let you go without this. The other hot issue around Colorado and sports is expansion, right? And your guys' name gets brought up a lot, and there's a latest report like Colorado's, they're looking to move soon. So what's the latest on the on all that?
Well, look, I mean, you got to believe about a third of what you see out there, and we're members of the Pac-12. We're proud members of the Pac-12, and we've got to see where our media rights deal lands and where our conference goes. And in a perfect world, we'd love to be in the Pac-12, and but we also have to do what's right for Colorado at the end of the day, and we'll evaluate things as we move forward.
Well, one last thing with that, you are still in the Pac-12. USC, UCLA are still in the Pac-12 for one more year. How excited are you for this football season in the Pac-12? I mean, not only Colorado with Coach Prime and all the changes, but there's some amazing players that are still in the Pac-12, the reigning Heisman winner, things like that. It's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year, and we've got a really difficult football schedule, but coach is up to it, and we want to play the best to be the best. And when we were really successful in '89 and '90 when we were here, we played same kind of caliber of opponent, and I think we'll be up for the task.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Rick. I appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you sometime later this summer.
Sounds great. Thanks, Brian.